Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Nvidia daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Nvidia. Let's talk about what is happening to the king, if we can get a resurgence, if AVGO, which just reported earnings, can essentially fix the mistakes that Oracle did. You know, AVGO up a nice 2.5%. So let's see how this continues. Oracle obviously pretty much destroying all momentum in semis yesterday off of the earnings, down substantially. Now, you know, still down 11%, even after a pretty decent dip buy on the market or on the stock itself. So AVGO so far doing a little bit better. And let's see if that's going to be enough to uplift Nvidia and even AMD moving into the next few days. But all that being said, let's jump into it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. But again, guys, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, updates, etc., well, again, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day as the market's open and trading. Definitely check that out. The link is down below. We'd love to have you there, guys, for just $3 a month. That's all it is. Access to all my Tesla updates in my YouTube membership section. Different time frame analysis, options flow, and also updates on the broader market as well. SPY, Qs, VIX, things like that. $5 includes Nvidia, $7 includes the whole package, access to my private Discord as well, where we have private tier 3 membership chat rooms. I do chart reviews every Sunday with members as well. And also my tier 3 post on YouTube, which includes essentially non-Tesla, non-Nvidia stocks as well. So again, we'd love to have you there. But yeah, jumping into it, Nvidia closing the day down 1.5%. You know, the buyers once again stepping in pretty nicely on Nvidia, not really letting the king fall too far below. Every time the king looks like it's about to, you know, tumble off a cliff, the buyers continue stepping in pretty much in this sort of mid, we'll say 170s-ish region. They're not letting the stock drop too far below, but we're also having issues getting too far above, despite that one pump that we did have up to 191 after hours. So right now it's going to be kind of, you know, how does the market and how do the semis react to AVGO earnings? Can this continue, you know, help the momentum, if you will, in these kind of stocks moving forward? That's going to be the main question to see on how this translates into the king of the market and AMD itself, maybe the queen, if you will. So, you know, Nvidia looks very, very decent. I was saying how the past 2 days I was getting a lot more unsure with how the stock looks. Like, you know, yeah, it's slightly bullish, but it just felt so much more lackluster because, you know, we had that move up to my target, you know, and I was just, it technically went to where I wanted it to go, just happened after hours, and then it just completely lost all of that momentum pre-market the next day, right? So very unusual behavior, to be completely honest with you. And it then made me kind of go back into a slightly more neutral to slightly bullish stance. Now, today we did print a pretty nice looking candle. That is a beautiful looking bullish candle, or a hammer candle, I should say, kind of like what we did over here. So not a bad sign. But I really want to see the bulls get back above these exponential moving averages. And I at the very least want to see 184 or higher start to continue to get reclaimed by the bulls, but continue to hold, right? Because I want to see these exponential moving averages. I want to see them flip back to bullish. For instance, let's take a look at back when Nvidia was in a very blatant bearish trend, which occurred all the way here. All right, you can see nice, decent bearish trend, but you can see as the stock stopped going down as much and as bulls essentially started holding it up, you can see as the exponential moving averages start to get that full bullish crossover, that's when the momentum really kicked it up into full gear, essentially, right? That's kind of what I want to see on Nvidia here. I want to see the price get back above, and I want to see it continue holding up here so that these EMAs have a chance to flip back to full bull mode, and then we can see the momentum start to return. That's the goal. That's what I want to see. And Nvidia is not really there just yet. It was very close to doing it here. And again, it technically got that move up to 191, the mid to low 190s off of the after hours price action. So it became this sort of very awkward situation, in my opinion. So let's see how this overall develops, and let's see if the bulls can really kind of work off of this potential AVGO momentum. But, you know, again, I want to see Nvidia back above 184 or higher, and I want to see it continue holding candles above there, get the EMAs back into bull mode, cross back to bull mode as well, and that's when things can really start to ignite in that bullish fashion. Now, however, from the bearish perspective, if the bears really start to finally take some control over here, which they had a good chance, the fact that Nvidia still closed above 180, you know, the bears, in my opinion, are also kind of fumbling here. The bulls fumbled here, the bears are fumbling here. The stock is trapping both directions right now. It's being very, very naughty. It really is, right? Massive bull trap, massive bear trap. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. So again, the bears, if they if the bears really want to come in here, if the bears really want to send this one higher or lower, sorry, well, I guess technically higher for them if you think about it that way, they want to really turn this area now, this sort of 182 to about 185 region. They really want to turn this area back into resistance and then make it their way lower off of that. That's what they want to do. So let's see how this overall plays out. I'll be honest, Nvidia is, a nice candle today, but the momentum is very questionable in both directions, right? There's just traps both directions. So the stock is back into limbo land for me until I see something more of a clearer picture. Again, still not a huge fan of how we had that massive move up here and then it pretty much sold it off entirely. That does make things a little more overall questionable. So let's see. The next thing I like to look at for Nvidia, or just in general, stocks, good stocks. I want to, very important, good stocks, not any stock. Good companies, good stocks. What I like to do is when a stock is just very blatantly not having any blatant momentum or direction or whatever, and you want to just buy the dip. You don't really care. Whatever, screw the momentum. I'm happy to buy cheapies on a great stock, like Nvidia. Great. The way I like to approach that scenario, in this case for Nvidia, if it's just, again, not really showing momentum, it's not really going one way or the other, it's kind of chopping, but you want to get a nice dip buy. What I'd like to do instead is not use the EMAs. Well, maybe if the price is too far away from the EMAs, that's, kind of get a mean reversion, but I like to use the Bollinger Bands and the SMI. And then what I like to do is if the stock is near the bottom Bollinger Band and the SMI is at or below the green line, that more often than not ends up being a pretty nice opportunity for a dip buy on a stock at a pretty decent discounted price on a good company. This doesn't work on any company. If you're buying some random company, not as well, but a good, nice, strong company. Yeah, it's phenomenal, right? And that's kind of the way I like to usually look at it for the most part. So in this case, Nvidia did get to the bottom Bollinger Band towards the morning, which is what I also mentioned to my members about as it was there. Now the SMI is not quite there just yet, which means that, there is a chance that Nvidia kind of continues chopping around here. You can see the bands are kind of tightening up over here. The price is still congesting quite a bit over here. It is tightening up overall quite substantially, I would argue. But there is a chance it continues kind of doing that, right? Kind of something like this, maybe slow, drift to the downside, but nothing too crazy. But then if we continue getting to the bottom of the Bollinger Band and the 4-hour SMI starts nearing the bottom end around here, again, more often than not, that usually leads to dip buys, right? Pretty nice dip buys as well, right? Even over here got pretty close, right? So that's kind of the way I like to look at it overall for the stock. So let's see, right? That's going to be the thing I'll be looking for next. If we just continue not really finding any momentum, then I resort to this sort of strategy instead where, if a stock is in chop land, which it seems like Nvidia might be, this is the strategy that works because it's obviously, momentumless, I should say. So that's the second strategy. So those are the main two strategies I usually trade with. This one I usually use for more long-term holds, right? The momentum strategy is more quick swings, maybe, up to a week max or maybe a few days. But this strategy I like to use more so for, stocks that I really like, stocks that I would absolutely love buying the dip on, cheapies, if you will. And then I continue kind of working off of that, right? So but again, this only works on good companies you would absolutely like to hold, companies you would like to continue buying, nice, cheap shares on. This isn't a momentum play. This isn't I'm going to buy here and it's for sure going to rocket up right away. Not necessarily. Sometimes, but not necessarily. But again, that's just kind of that second strategy that's worth mentioning that I like to use. It just depends on the situation that we're in. Seems like Nvidia arguably might be in that situation. Let's take a quick peek on AVGO. Giving back some of the gains, still up a nice 2%. So let's see if we can continue holding that. But yeah, overall, guys, that's kind of the main way I'm looking at Nvidia right now without overcomplicating it too much. Let's take a quick look at options flow and see what's happening over here. Nice, decent bullish flow, right? 17 million bullish flow, about 13 bearish flow. But towards the end of the day, definitely more bullish than bearish flow came in for 1226, 1212, 1219. So, the bulls are trying to step in, including a 1.1 million 190 call for 2026 February 20th. So the bulls are trying to step in here, right? Pretty aggressively. So maybe it's to try and go off of the AVGO momentum on the earnings. I don't really know for what. So let's see if that amounts into anything. But you know what to look for. I do like the daily candle. It is a nice looking hammer candle. So, that is a good sign. But again, for momentum to really return, for us to really get a nice move higher, we need to get above 184 to 185. And we need to hold above that for several days. Let the EMAs catch up to price and also start crossing back to bull mode. Those are the things you want to see for momentum. Otherwise, we're in chop land. And then we use that second strategy. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.